Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Josh Ludwig. Josh is running for supervisor in the county of Frederick County.
Right.
I know it's a little out of our area, but it does border our, and we have a lot of readers in the Winchester area, and I thought, since this is an important election time, I thought it'd be good to come talk to Josh and other candidates we've had in. We've had a couple governor candidates in the past week, so this is a time of year where people are making the circuit, and we want to make sure that we get our viewers out to the maximum amount of people and choices that we have. So Josh, why did you want to run for supervisor? It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. I'd never planned to run for anything, never have before, but some concerns came up. We moved to the Valley almost a decade ago, and we thought things for a more peaceful life. A lot of advantages out here, and we love it in the Valley.
Sure.
But then we had some concerns. Some of the community got together. They were worried about some things going on with the schools and the budgets. And it was decided someone needed to run. Someone needed to run to be more conservative in terms of spending, to reduce the taxes that seem to be creeping up on us, especially now. One of the big ones is the meals tax is proposed to go up right when we know all these family restaurants are going out of business. Bad idea, definitely bad time. The real estate taxes are relatively low here in the Valley, but we want to keep them that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so as assessments go up, there might be opportunity to reduce the rate to balance in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, the board seems to be leaning toward not doing that. And then we've worried a bit about the schools and the other spending in the area. I really believe in transparency, meaning all the tax money that the county collects is the taxpayer's money. And he or she should see every penny of it where it's spent, whether it's Sheriff's Department, Parks and Rec, schools, etc. But our budget isn't completely open, and my opponent has indicated that he's not for transparency. That is, he doesn't want to require line item budgets to be published for all the departments, and we really should be. I mean, we're in the Valley. We should be transparent. If Loudoun and Fairfax are publishing their budgets, we should be publishing ours too. So
and nowadays,
can see.
with online publications like the Royal Examiner, I mean, there's no excuse not to put. It doesn't matter. It's 300 pages. Space isn't a problem.
Exactly.
And we don't have to print, these big old books like we used to. So people should have access. They can watch that budget on their phone. I mean, it's a long process, the budget process. But you're right. Transparency is the key word, I think, in the election nowadays. We've had so much non-transparency. But another thing is spending. I mean, the Frederick County, and kind of similar to Warren County, is made up of basically primarily Republicans, which are known for their conservatism, but yet here lately they've all done a lot of spending and taxes, and it's kind of like, what happened to our Republican roots?
Yeah, I'm afraid we could easily saddle a big debt on our kids. People don't pay attention to local elections, think it's small by comparison, but that's where all the important things, that's where the curriculum's decided for your children. And if we run up debt in the county, then our tax bills will go up, and they'll stay up for our children as well to pay that off.
Right. These are important things that, we've, like I said, I've talked to a couple candidates that are running for governor, and they all have really the same message. It's about the spending and the debt, and we're seeing our national debt go through the roof.
Yep.
I think it's already gone through the roof. Now it's going to the sky somewhere, and it's only all we see is it's going higher and higher and higher, and no concern about how we're going to pay for things. And in the local election, that's where we really see our tax dollars. I mean, we see that when we have to write those checks out twice a year. It's a little bit, but it adds up, and people are looking at it. And I know they're stressed over the concept of us having this pay. We want services, and we need them, but how do we decide? I mean,
well, the local levels where you have the best control, where you can reach out to your representatives and you can affect things. So that's really where it starts.
Right.
If we can't control it at the local level, we're never going to control it at the national level.
Never. Well, it goes up. Well, they always say it runs downhill, but really it runs uphill.
It does. This country was designed to run uphill, and people need to pay attention to that.
It is important that we have candidates. So how does it look? I see you're out pounding the street, and
I am. Was last night.
Forget the campaign part, but you're learning a lot, aren't you?
I am. So for local things, we don't all pay attention to all the details and know how it runs. I think for some weird reason we're inverted. We pay attention to the national characters.
Right. Thinking that's really going to affect us, but it's kind of like our presidential election. On one day we have one president, the next day we have another, but you know what? Our life really didn't change that day, did it?
Right.
But it can change on the local level.
Absolutely. Yep. So I've learned from talking to people, and I've also shared with them why I'm running. I think a lot of people also don't realize the primary is coming up.
Right.
They don't pay attention too much, and so very few votes make the difference.
Right.
So I encourage people, I'm very much about listening and transparency. Look, if we publish all our budgets, then you're not going to go through hundreds of pages of parks or school spending, but somebody will. Somebody who has an interest and has the knowledge will poke around in each part of the budget, and they'll raise questions.
Right.
And that will start a discussion where interesting points where maybe we're spending money in places we don't need to.
Right.
I mean, the problem with the national budget is the same as the local budget. It's always nice sounding to start a new program.
Sure.
Government can always make it sound like, I listen to our local board meetings, Board of Supervisors meetings. People come forward and they say, why don't we spend on this and spend on that? It would be nice to have those things. It would. Most of those things they want are good things.
Sure.
However, you have to balance it. You have to look at where the money's coming from. The tax burden, we've got retired people on fixed incomes, and already property values are going up, so their assessments are going up. And we take on bonds means we take on debt. So the real responsible role of government, of supervisors, school board members, everyone who's doing this, is to make that balance, to say, I would like to have that thing, but is it really worth forcing people to pay X dollars out of their pocket for that thing? It has to be a balance.
Like we all want a new car, but are we willing to pay that $500 a month payment when we write the check out?
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
I tell people. I said, how are you going to feel when you write the check? Then that'll tell you whether you really will enjoy it or not.
Yep.
That's the same thing. In our government, I think our officials, we elect people, then we sit back and say, well, they're taking care of it. But it really involves us all being involved in our local governments, showing up, paying attention.
Well, there's always a temptation in the government to spend money. It makes the people who are coming to you asking for things happy. And where it comes from is sort of diffuse. It comes from a lot of different pockets here and there. And it's easy to get blamed for voting no on a new program. It's a little bit harder to get pinned for when costs go up. It's easier to excuse. But that's the job. If you wouldn't buy a gold-plated car,
right.
You think you don't have the budget to do that. Why would you buy a gold-plated system of some kind within your local government? You shouldn't.
Right. And and beyond the cost of buying it, it's the cost of maintaining it and keeping it updated. And nowadays everything's computers, and we're buying these things like they're candy, and the cost of it was only this much. Yeah, but we got to pay somebody $200 an hour to sit there and maintain it.
Well, everyone's seen there are some products you can buy that are discounted up front. You can buy the thing cheaply.
Sure.
But you pay for the razor blades.
Exactly. It's called the subscription model. That's
right, and that can happen in government too. If you're in government and you think the county needs something, and there's a lot of things it does need. I mean, we have county government for a reason. There's always a temptation to keep the costs low up front because you might not be around when the maintenance bills come due later.
Well, I was at a local budget meeting, and I heard at a school board, and they were talking about, this is our annual subscription. I said, that was $25,000 for an annual subscription for something. Yeah, the upfront cost was low 5 years ago, but there's always a hidden cost. There's no free lunch. An interesting thing I thought, I was looking at some of your campaign material, and you say, well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. Josh is a rocket scientist, so
well, yeah.
I use that term broadly, but any truth to that phrase?
Yeah, it's something my team had some fun with. I'm an aerospace engineer, got my degree in the Midwest, and spent my whole life, though, working career out here in Virginia. And I did work on missiles. Yeah. Pretty much every job I had.
So you're a real-life rocket
time.
scientist.
I've worked on quite a few missiles, yeah.
So it's kind of a play on words, I know, but
it is.
But it's fun. I mean, Josh can be a fun guy. I mean,
Well, in county governance isn't rocket science, but it does require some people who understand numbers. We're blessed in Frederick County to have some people who do have a numbers background, and I think I would add to that.
Right.
And that's good because you don't want your board to be fooled. You don't want them to buy the wrong thing, and it takes work. They're not, paid very much at all,
right.
And they do a lot. If you did it the hourly rate, they put a lot of time in,
right.
And so you want smart guys who can go through the numbers and make good decisions when things do have to be purchased.
Because the devil is in the details. I mean, so to speak. Yep. I mean, it's those detail things that you need. And again, rockets don't fly unless you have the details exactly right on the money.
They're a little extreme case. One little thing goes wrong and the whole thing will blow up, as we saw on a flight yesterday.
Yes,
but,
yeah. Well, I like the comment. At least the crater was in the right spot.
Yeah.
But, we're making fun of things like that. But it's serious. It's serious business, this local politics. And I think that this election coming up it's called a Firehouse Election, right? Tell us about how that works.
Well, so this is the only contested district in Frederick County, so they had to run a canvass or a primary just because I'm challenging.
Sure.
And I'm challenging it because my opponent did vote for has leaned or stated and voted in some cases for the higher taxes and for less transparency into the budgets. So we'll have a canvass. It's only from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., So because it's a small and it's just one thing to vote for, it's only 4 hours on May the 15th. And I encourage everyone to come out. After that, the Republican nominee will be decided, and then we'll move forward through the summer and fall toward the general election.
So this is in the Shawnee District in Frederick County.
Right.
So if you're a Shawnee District resident, you can vote in this primary.
That's right.
Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat.
That's right.
So it's basically registered voters in Shawnee District in Frederick County, Virginia. You got a choice. You got two people running, at least on the Republican ticket, to decide for their next supervisor. And it's good. You've had a lot of changeover. A lot. I mean, I don't follow that much of Frederick County politics, but I've done some work for some of the campaign, and surprisingly, the board has changed over the last several elections.
Yeah, in my district, the board member moved out of the area, so that set up a special election. The incumbent's been there for just 4 months, but I think I'd be the right person for that job. And, another thing, one last thing I guess I would mention, people are concerned about schools. That's when you think about local things, you do think about the sheriffs and the parks and such. But
schools right now are hot topics.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't neglect that today. One thing about the schools is that budget isn't broken down in as much detail as the Board of Supervisors would like to see. Mm-hmm. And the reason they'd like to see that is not, to push their agenda. The school board runs the schools.
Right.
It's so that they can make sure the public interest is maintained, things are transparent. Look, the Board of Supervisors has given over the last 6 years, from the numbers I've seen, a 5.5% increase every year on average in what the county provides in tax dollars to the schools. We haven't seen the teachers receive that much in raises. We're wondering, I say we like I'm on the board already.
Sure.
But
well, you have to think positive, John.
Well, also, we taxpayers who've learned about this, we're wondering, why is it a perennial issue that our teachers seem to be underpaid? But I'm here to tell you the budget has gone up. So we need to see where the money's going. If there's waste, we need to cut that and get the money to the teacher salaries and to buying new school buses in the places it's really needed. If that money is going to smart places, why would we hide that? We need to let the taxpayer know that there is a demand right now for more funding, that there are maintenance, other costs that are important. So people can have an answer. people only get upset when things are hidden.
Exactly.
And then all these ideas go around that things aren't being done right. Well, let's publish the budget. Let's see what it is. Let everybody dig into it, and we can debate then. That's how it's supposed to work.
Exactly. Well, Josh, I appreciate you having the effort to do this and to run. This is the time of year, even in our local elections, they really have till about June in order to get their signatures and get out and run, because you don't have to run as a Republican or a Democrat. You can run as an independent,
right?
And we have till about June, so people have that inclination. And again, I know Josh is running in Shawnee District and Winchester, but these are some points we need to think about for Warren County elections as well. And the people that are running in any election are, how you feel about it and what's important to you as the voter to make sure that you're getting the answers that you want. And there's candidates like Josh that's out there, and he's telling you what it is that he's going to stand for. So that's what we want. If you say this today, 2 years from now, we want to come back and look, Josh, this is what you said. Is this what you're going to do? So
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Again, condolences or congratulations are in order.
A little of both.
A little of both. And I know your wife is enthusiastic about you running, and that's an important thing because it is a family decision, because it takes a lot of time to do this. Talking to the local supervisors, and he just said, wow, I didn't realize it would take, it's a full-time job.
Well, we have 4 children. All have gone through the schools in the county, so we have an interest. That makes me busy, yes,
Sure.
but it also makes me concerned.
Well,
that's
great.
why. And I'd encourage people to run, anyone listening to this in whatever county you're in.
Sure.
Think about it. Talk to your local representatives, the school board and the board of supervisors about what's going on. You might find you have a role you didn't think about,
Right.
or that there's some issue that's not going the way you would want.
Right. And if you don't want to run, at least show up to meetings and be involved and, give them your 2 cents worth. I think that's an important thing.
It impacts you more than you think. Most of
does.
us don't think about it much,
does.
but it
Well,
really does.
When you're sitting on that board and you got these people staring at you saying, shaking their finger, you normally set up and make cause, or their true personality comes out, so it's a good thing to get involved.
Most of the things that affect your life that you deal with day to day, the roads, the schools, your real estate taxes, that's done at the local level,
Right.
not at the national level.
Right. Well, remember, it's May 15th. If you live in Shawnee District and Frederick County, be sure you go to vote. Where's the location?
Near the Costco down the road at the Firehouse, right down the street.
That Costco Drive.
Don't go
there,
into the
whatever it's
fire
called.
station itself. It's the building right next door, and
Okay.
it's just from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
There'll be signs all over the place because I went
Absolutely.
to.
I'll be standing there.
You'll be, and you
so
can't
look for
miss
me.
Josh, right? In his red shirt. You can't
Yep.
miss that. So that's May 15th, Firehouse vote. And again, if you live in the Shawnee District in Frederick County, please come out to vote between 10 and 2, right?
Correct. Yep.
And anyone can vote that lives in that district, so as long as you're a registered voter. So it's an important thing. It'll affect the next 4 years of your life in Frederick County.
Yes, it will.
Again, Josh, I really appreciate you coming in, talking to us, sharing your views on the world and Shawnee District. Thanks
Thank you
again.
for inviting me.
Thank you.